$275,918. That's a real estimate for a real photography job. And it's not as rare as you might think. The reason why $275,000 seems like a lot of money is, well, because it's a lot of money. But secondly, because most photographers, myself included, tend to do a lot of work for much smaller clients with much smaller budgets. If you're used to doing jobs for local clients who have to stretch to make $5,000 work, it's hard to wrap your head around a shoot that has 28, 30 people on set every day and costs more than $250,000. In the commercial photography world, jobs with budgets this high, they're just not uncommon. Commercial photographers regularly work on large projects with large budgets for large companies that spend a lot of money on advertising. So when a large multinational brand is spending, say, $20 million on a multinational advertising campaign, $275,000 is just a drop in the bucket. It's literally only 1% of the entire budget for that entire advertising campaign. I'm going to look at the client brief, the deliverables requested, explain the line items of the estimate, look at any revisions that may have come up, and talk about the client approved budget and results. And in the case of some older estimates, like this one, I'm going to reveal what the cost of the shoot would be in today's dollars based on the rate of inflation since the original estimate was approved. So stick around until the end of the video for that, because this estimate is 5 years old and inflation has been out of control for the past couple of years. So the number could shock you. Before I get started though, I want to take a quick moment to thank and acknowledge the sources of this information in this video. The budget in this video was put together by the people at Wonderful Machine and published on Rob Haggard's blog, A Photo Editor. Wonderful Machine is a company in the US that helps photographers all over the world by providing services such as portfolio edits, design, marketing, publicity, production, and pricing and negotiating budgets on behalf of their clients. A Photo Editor is a long-running blog with a ton of resources and a fantastic Instagram account. I'm going to link to all the resources, including the original blog post, at the top of the description for this video, so check those out and give them a follow. No, this is not a sponsored video, but who knows, maybe it will be one day. I'm open to that. One final note, the photographers and clients mentioned in this video have been redacted by Wonderful Machine to protect the privacy and identities of everyone involved. I don't know who the photographers are or who the clients are either, so please don't ask me in the comments. I don't have answers for you. So let's take a look at the brief. So this brief was sent to a photographer who specializes in creating food and lifestyle images. Think people enjoying a barbecue or a dinner party together. The client is a large multinational brand and they're asking for unlimited use of 80 images in perpetuity and own social media use of an additional 100 images in perpetuity. So in total, the client is requesting a library of 180 images, 80 with unlimited usage, and an additional 100 for their socials. The concept is listed as a food, product, and lifestyle shoot for a new cookware product launch. So this is a new line of cookware which needs product images, which will likely be used on websites, packaging, point of sale signage in stores, magazine flyers, and a whole lot more. Food images with the product in use, which could be tabletop images of different meals being prepped, cooked, and served in the cookware, ingredients being prepared, and lifestyle images of the product being enjoyed and showing the brand values at work in the images. Happy families enjoying life and making memories over incredible meals they'll share together, all thanks to this new line of cookware. Wonderful Machine explains that the creative brief called for a narrative lifestyle approach to a series of 4 casual family and or friend gatherings. The photographer needed to photograph the ingredients, the recipe process, product details, kitchen lifestyle, plated dishes, a lively dining experience, and everything else surrounding the life cycle of the meal. Ever since social media became a key component of marketing, there's been an increasing emphasis on narrative lifestyle shoots, mainly because companies such as this one need hero images for ads and supplemental images to support the hero images of the campaign. This client needed 20 hero images from each day and 25 outtakes from each day, which are variations of the hero images that would be used for social media only. So 45 images per day for 4 days for a total of 180 images. This is what is referred to as creating a library of images. These images will go into the brand's media library in like a digital asset manager such as Asset Bank, Libris, or Photo Shelter. So starting with the photographer's fees, Wonderful Machine explains that for a normal library day rate, they might start around $7,000 to $10,000 and adjust based on the project. But because of the scope of this shoot, the size of the brand, and the volume of work, they set the total at a combined creative and licensing fee at $65,000, which works out slightly more than $16,000 per day. Because the client was realistic, their budget was able to cover that cost. The shoot also called for pre-production days and scout days for the photographer because there was still some need for the photographer to provide oversight and insight, meaning management of the shoot and conceptualization of some aspects of the narrative. They included 4 days for her pre-production involvement at $1,500 each day, and 1 tech and location scouting day at $2,500, bringing the photographer's total fees to $73,500. Now, if you're liking those numbers so far, click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future photography budget breakdowns. Also, keep in mind that these figures are from 5 years ago. I'll reveal the figures adjusted for inflation at the end of this video. All right, so continuing on. Given the scope and size of the project, it required 8 talent per day for 4 days, a total cast of 32 people. A shoot this size requires a casting agency. So in this case, the casting agency provided a quote of $11,000 to cover 3 days of live casting and prep. The talent rate was set to $1,524 per person for 32 people for a total of $48,768. Add in the agency's fee of $11,000 and that brings the total expense for casting to $59,765. What a lot of new photographers don't realize is that when you're putting together an estimate, almost everything flows through you as the photographer, as the photography company. This $275,000 estimate includes expenses of more than $200,000 that are ultimately paid for by the photographer. The casting alone on this project accounts for almost 30% of its total expenses. So this project required 3 locations. It required product inventory and had a total daily headcount of 30 people on set, including the client reps, the photo team, the talent, and crew members. A production of this size really needs to have a producer, a production coordinator, and a PA on set. So that was also itemized in the estimate. They oversee all the moving pieces of the production, keep it running on time and smoothly. They sort out any problems so that the photographer doesn't have to take time away from the shoot to deal with them. And they keep track of expenses occurred during the shoot. And all of those expenses will be adjusted to reflect their actual numbers. The producer will also spend time in pre-production managing and coordinating the shoot. So for 10 producer days at $1,200 each, 8 coordinator days at $500 each, and 6 PA days at $350 each, the total expense for the production team comes to $18,100. Since this shoot relied on a lot of available light, the photographer assembled a team that included a first assistant, a second assistant, and a digitech. And with a PA already on set, that person could also assist with the production as needed. An extra day was included for the first and second assistants to help with gear prep and wrap, but the digitech was only covered for the 4 days she was on set. They also note that the digitech was present during the tech and location scout, but the photographer said she would cover the digitech out of her own pocket for that day. So with 5 days for the first assistant at $450 per day, 5 days for the second assistant at $450 per day, and 4 days for the digitech at $1,000 per day, the total budget for the photo team comes to $8,500 for the production. Now, it's also noted that in order to keep the post-processing and retouching budget down, the photographer would hire the digitech to handle the post-production work. That was an additional $10,000. So that brings the total expenses for the digitech to $14,000 and the total expenses for the entire photography team to $18,500. The budget for the rest of the crew includes 8 days for the prop stylist at $1,500 per day, which includes sourcing, renting, and returning props for 4 separate shoot days. 7 days for the food stylist at $2,000 per day, which includes pre-production days for buying food and creating recipes, testing the recipes, and 4 production days of prepping the ingredients, cooking the meals, and styling the dishes. That's during the production. 4 days for a hair and makeup team at $1,250 per day, pay, which included the HMUA and an assistant, and 9 days for the wardrobe stylist and an assistant at $1,350, which includes sourcing clothing for 32 separate cast members, styling on each day, and returning the clothing after the shoot. The total budget for these crew members came to $43,150. So at this point, you really start to appreciate the massive amount of time, effort, and talent that goes into a production of this scale. It's very much like a small movie production. And just like movie productions, the photographer also has to rent production vehicles, cater meals for everyone on set, rent equipment and props, and buy the food for the shoot, pay for the location, permits, and production insurance, and account for any other miscellaneous expenses such as parking, any tolls vehicles pass through to and from the shoot, shipping expenses, and mileage. Equipment rental is always itemized back to the client, even if the photographer is renting their own equipment to the client for the shoot. In the case of this shoot, lighting equipment was rented and a medium format camera system was also rented. There's likely a 98% chance that that would be a phase 1 camera. The total rental cost for the 4 production days, at least 1 prep day, and probably a day to return everything came to $9,500. Food and props and wardrobe account for an additional $15,000. Insurance cost $3,500, and miscellaneous expenses were estimated at an additional $2,000, bringing the total non-labor expenses to an even $30,000. Once you add the labor back into the equation, the total expenses for this whole shoot come to a whopping $202,418. The final estimate, which includes the $73,500 in photographer fees and $202,418 in expenditures, and you end up with a total estimate of $275,918. Based on this estimate, the photographer was awarded the project, and she also went on to photograph another production for the same product line. Now, before I reveal the inflation-indexed figures, take a moment to punch the like button and share this video with your friends. If you found this video helpful or insightful, please share it and like it. I plan to make this into an ongoing series, so let me know in the comments if there are specific genres of photography that you'd like to see me break down and cover, and I'll add them to the list. These posts from Wonderful Machine have been an incredible resource for me and my business ever since I discovered them many years ago, and I hope that these videos can do the same for you. Now, this estimate was posted to the blog on August 15th, 2018. We don't know the shoot date, but the blog was posted after the production and after another production for the same product line were both executed. So let's take a look at what these numbers would mean today. At the time I'm recording, this is May 2023. Using the US Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI inflation calculator, we'll plug in the $275,918 and set the date to August 2018. Using the latest data for the CPI, which are for April 2023, we get an adjusted rate for this estimate of $331,963 US. The photographer's fees for this job would be $88,429. Now, for my own curiosity, I want to see what this is converted to Canadian dollars, because I'm in Canada. Wow, that's $447,766 and change. That's almost $120,000 just for the photographer's fees. And like I said at the start of this video, that's not as rare as you might think. You just have to be creating work at the right level to get these types of jobs. So release the shutter on the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any future budget breakdowns. Have a great day.